Okay.
Ooh.
What is this?
Miss Tremaine, did you get my email this morning? I emailed you the questions.
I did not, but I think we might be okay nonetheless.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know what I will do? I'm going to put on my earbuds to make it a little bit easier for folks here. Let's see. You know what? Maybe I'm not. It depends if it allows me to connect easily. I think I hear you. Can you say something?
Hello, Miss Tremaine. Hello.
Check.
Nope, I'm still
Testing.
Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna do a little bit of systems change here. Systems. We're gonna Bluetooth these AirPods and connect them. Righty. I think that we are connected now. Perfect. Hello? Okay, I see you still. I was getting that virtual for a second. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect.
Well, I guess should we start things off? What time is it?
I'm
9:01?
missing me and Chris.
Yeah. We can give it
Okay. I'm gonna actually put my glasses on. I don't know my other glasses on.
Well, welcome to
Is this a weird angle?
Cannabis Association of New York Retail Committee. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, especially right on schedule with when we usually meet, which makes it very nice. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've met you before. I believe it was up in Binghamton at that event. But I wanted to thank Carmine for helping put this together, and I'll hand it over to Carmine.
Yes, thanks, Steve. Miss Tremaine Wright, thank you so much for hopping on our call today. A little bit about who we are. This is the Cannabis Association of New York. We are the largest cannabis association in New York. We have hundreds of members, stretch across all the supply chain lines, from cultivators to processors to anticipated retailers. And we have a focus on small and mid-sized businesses, as well as social equity and social justice. So right now you are in the retail committee. This is the retail committee board. I will go around. I'll pass, let everyone introduce themselves. First, my name's Carmine Fiore. I am a prospective adult use retail dispensary owner. I am also the co-chair of the Veterans Committee here with the Cannabis Association, as well as a member of the Long Island Regional Committee and a member of the Municipal Affairs team. I reside here in Long Island, New York, and I've been really active in the politics here on Long Island, involved in municipalities. I'll pass it over to Dan.
Oh, to me, I didn't know I was saying anything. My name's Dan Livingston. I'm the executive director. I'm really just here to offer technical support. The retail committee is one of about 20 committees in the association, and within the association structure, the committees self-organize around their community of interest, and so this retail committee is really driving retail advocacy within the association and throughout the industry. I'm really happy that you were able to come today, Chairwoman, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time to answer questions from our members. I'll give it back to you, Carmine. I didn't really have anything to say.
Thanks, Dan. I'll pass it over to Vanessa.
Hello, how are you, Ms. Wright? I'm Vanessa Yichan. I am part of the retail committee. I also am the New York City Regional Committee Chair as well. And so I do educational events around New York City in the 5 boroughs. I am planning on opening adult use dispensary focused on women's health and wellness in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. And I live in Long Island and Brooklyn, commute to Brooklyn a lot. So.
Thanks, Vanessa. Let's pass it over to Steve.
Hello, my name is Steve. I am the chair of the retail committee, also co-founder of Comeback Daily CBD store. And yeah, it's been really exciting working with this group and combining our experience and knowledge to really help shine light on issues that we feel are important with the OCM. And thank you so much for being here with us today. And
Thanks,
I'll pass it off to Teresa, I guess.
Hi, I am the secretary of the retail committee. I think I'm one of the newest members on the committee. I run an adult use cultivator license currently, but I have a long history in cannabis retail in multiple states and in Colorado and Maine. I've been waiting to come back to my fiance's homeland of New York, and excited to contribute my knowledge on retail to the committee. It's been a pleasure to be involved, and thanks for coming to speak with us today, Ms. Tremaine.
Thanks, Teresa. Let's pass it over to Owen.
Hey, good morning. My name's Owen Martinetti. I'm a board member of CANY. I've been involved since end of 2018, early 2019. I started as a cultivator and processor in the first wave of licenses in the hemp space that came out in 2017. Transitioned into the retail space in end of 2022. I'm involved with a recreational dispensary in Massachusetts. From that experience of the cultivation to retail, I've been able to share a lot of information on different things that are going to affect the New York market coming up. And I'm a liaison currently to the retail committee, to the board.
Thanks, Owen. I'll pass it over to Chris.
Hi, Ms. Wright. My name is Chris Abenda. I've been involved in the cannabis committee since 2019. I actually joined Owen at his extraction facility in New York State. Currently, we are working on opening our first adult use dispensary in Massachusetts. We have, been, as others in this committee, have been very involved in trying to engage with our local communities on this topic. And, thank you for being here and taking the time to join us this morning to discuss these questions that we have.
Thanks, Chris. Let's pass it over to Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew Rossner. I'm one of the founders and a board member of CANY. I grew hemp for about 4 years and transitioned to the AUCC program, grew this past summer and just completed our harvest. So we're quite excited about that. Thank you. And then I also work actually I work with healthcare systems in developing medical cannabis programs. And that's something that I do with Dr. Junella Chen. And so we're right now working with a very large healthcare system in New York City in rolling out a program and also providing lower cost options for their patients to access medical cannabis, mostly in the Bronx, Upper Manhattan, and Western Long Island.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Let's pass it over to David.
Hi, Ms. Wright. My name is David Pajovic. I'm an attorney in the space. I started out working in the financial technology sector and ended up working with Owen and Chris, who just introduced themselves in the adult use cannabis space. I helped them out with policy and regulatory compliance matters. Otherwise, I sit as the vice chair of this retail committee, helping liaison policy recommendations from operators to our policy committee in the association, as well as general policy work for the association as a whole.
Thanks, David. Let's pass it over to Carlos.
As you can see, this is not Carlos. I'm Stephen Rungi. I'm Carlos's husband. Wonderful to see you again. And thank you so much for your time, always in leadership. Pleasure to listen today. And I'm with Carlos Rungi, and he's the chair of the social equity at CANY and liaison with policy. And I'm liaisoning with social equity. And so I'm really delighted to be here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Steve. Sorry about that mix-up. And Nee, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, everyone. Hi, Ms. Wright. My name is Nika. I am the CEO and co-founder of Sativa Remedy. We started in 2019 in Western New York, and we have a licensed hemp dispensary under the hemp cannabinoid program. And what I do, I also, as well as being part of the retail committee, I also head up the Western New York regional chapter of CANY as well, helping to facilitate this season a lot of facility tours with farms and labs. And for me, I got into cannabis really focused on the health and wellness side of being able to bring accessible information, but also accessible, affordable, safe products to my community members here in West New York. And that's a little bit about me. Thank you so much for sharing your time. Excited to chat with everyone this morning.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone hopping on and introducing yourself. I sincerely appreciate Mr. Tremaine Wright hopping on with us. Just a little background. I met Miss Wright sometime in 2021. She seems to be following me everywhere I go across the state. So naturally we started talking, and I asked her back in the end of July, beginning of August, if she would hop on, and she gave me her word that she would. And she is a woman of her word, and that's something I really hold near and dear to my heart. And I want to say thank you, Miss Wright. With that, we do have a bunch of questions that we'd like to ask you as a state representative of the OCM. And with that, we'd like to start off with Nee with question 1.
Okay. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all these questions and to give our committee some clarity on what we can expect in the future adult use program. So as a hemp cannabinoid retailer, my first question to you, do you foresee a pathway for retail hemp cannabinoid licensees to get any sort of conditional retail license that, and similarly how it was done with hemp growing and hemp processing? Thank you.
No, at this time, we don't have any of that planned. The retail is something that I think we're comfortable saying that we have a conditional program for at this moment. The legislature had to pass the Seeding Opportunity Initiative, which created all of the conditional licensing this year. So they created it this year, we implemented it this year. And it is running on a separate track than the MRTA. But at this moment, they're not in session. We're very close to completing the regulations. And so I think that we're going to be going directly into general adult use licensing.
Thank you so much for that direct answer. Really appreciate that clarification.
Thank you. And for a second question, how does the OCM plan on creating consistency when conducting on-site inspections? There has been some word around with other inspections coming into cultivation facilities, and there's been some inconsistency. What can we expect to keep that consistency standard across the board for inspections?
So as you've already identified, they've begun some of the inspections already, be it the cultivation centers. I think the processors have dates. They may have done one of them thus far. As a new agency, we're creating our protocols and procedures for our investigators. And so we're trying to follow the same standard that we've, I would say, executed in other agencies throughout the state. Wherein we have protocols and regulations for our inspectors so that there is consistency and reliability in the application of the law and how it's being used when people are on site, are not people in or writing up violations that are unnecessary. But I am also going to say part of it is that it's a consistent training process for our staff. Having owned a facility that was inspected by the New York City Department of Health, I can tell you without fail that every inspection, there was some discrepancy in how those regulations were applied. And I went in to argue violations every time they came. So we're aware of it and we understand it, but that's about the education of those inspectors. And so while we are ramping that team up and we're training them, we really just have to be more deliberate and consistently deliberate in how that applies. But we are developing protocols and we are trying to roll it out consistently.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And let's number 3.
Number 3. How does the state plan to limit adult use cultivator canopy? And is there going to be any other limits placed on production?
So at this time, we don't have a firm answer for you because, as I said, we're working on the regulations. But we are using the Seeding Opportunity Program to really get a good idea of what's working. And I think that we also have some learning because the growth in New York State as an outdoor exercise. I think that we're going to have to balance that with indoor grows. And I think the metrics may be a little bit different. When we're talking about the different types of grows, we're still figuring some of that out. But we are going to be limiting the amount of grow, used acreage and square footage for the outdoor grows. I know that we are going to be we have been looking at what it means to say canopy or the development of canopy limitations. And we hope that that will be coming out in our regulations this fall.
Great.
So,
Thank you. We have question number 4 with Chris.
hey, so will dispensaries be allowed to have drive-throughs? I know the regulations are obviously not complete, but that would be
I think that that's really a question more about form versus anything else. It's like saying, can you serve food? Yes. The idea of it being something that people sat down for versus what they carried out versus what they got picked up in drive-through or delivery. I think that that's somewhat of the form question. We currently have no prohibition in the format of the delivery of service through dispensaries. That was not in the MRTA. We will try to address different forms in our regulations, but at this moment, we don't have any standardized prohibitions. And so we're just trying to make sure that we create regulations that accommodate the realities as well as space for innovation.
Okay.
And Chris again.
Yeah, and so number 5, will registered organizations, MSOs, be able to sell products wholesale?
Or is that you? I think I may have lost some of I just froze.
Oh,
Are
yeah, you froze.
guys with me
Yeah.
still?
We can
I
still hear
think
you though.
so.
We can
Can
hear
I'm
you.
getting a little bit of freezing.
Can you hear us?
Let me know.
I don't think so.
I think that's a no.
No. Why don't you log off and log back on, Miss Wright? There we go.
Yeah, I think she.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, we go.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Chris, maybe kick that
Are you
question
able to
off.
hear
Yeah,
me
I'm
again?
gonna repeat that question. So,
Just
will
Carmine,
registered
I see you.
confirm she's here.
Do any of you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So
Okay.
if that's me, I'm going to, if that freezes again, I'll cut off the screen so that we can continue the conversation. Sorry about that.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay.
So question 5 is, will registered
Let me cut off my
organizations
screen. I feel like
will
I'm
registered organizations be able to sell products
That's
wholesale
always a
to
problem.
card dispensaries? Oh, I don't think we
Okay,
have.
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
we
me?
can hear you.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Can
Talk
you
to
hear-
me if you can hear. There we
Can you hear
go.
us?
It's a big latency. There's a big delay here, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
potentially.
right.
Okay, so I turned off the screen to see if that might assist us in this work.
Can you hear
Okay.
us better, Miss Tremaine?
I do hear you, and it's not freezing on my end, so I
Awesome.
think it's me.
Okay, no worries. Let's try to repeat that question.
All right, here we go. So number 5, will registered organizations be able to sell products wholesale to card dispensaries? We've heard some conflicting comments on this that, between from both ROs themselves and independent cultivators and processors.
So that's probably because none of them are writing the regs, And I'm going to say we really do have to wait for regulations. The ROs get to participate in adult use as per the MRTA. When and how they get to enter has not been determined yet because we haven't developed the regulations. I do understand that everyone wants to get the information really quickly, but we just don't have that established yet. And participation in the general adult use program is coming online as soon as possible. And the ROs, just like every other participant, have to wait for those regulations so that we can map it out for everyone at the same time.
All right, so question number 6. This is related to tax projections for the cannabis program. If the state doesn't meet their 2022 tax income expectations, what effects could this potentially have on regulating the cannabis industry from your perspective?
So New York State did not anticipate sales during 2022. The projection from 2021 on how long it would take to open up the marketplace and to begin sales was actually 18 months, which would have taken us to 2023. So they were not, the Office of Budget was not relying upon cannabis sales in order to meet their targets for 2022. However, I will say the reality that we do not have sales and that we are not contributing to the tax base at this time further motivates both the staff at OCM as well as our state legislature to make sure that it is up and running soon so that we can start contributing. And I can also say all of the potential grantee folks who want to get one of the grants from the advisory committee are also anticipating this. So the pressure's in from all sides. And I think that means that we just have more of a reason to get up and running and to do it effectively.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And number 7 with Vanessa.
Hello. Because municipalities and community boards are beginning to develop their process for cannabis operators within their zones, what kind of regulations and guidance should we expect from OCM? And within each municipality zoning, does the OCM decide how many retail operators can be in each zone?
So generally, we do not determine how many operators can be in each zone. The zones that exist under the card application are specific to the card application because those are associated with the distribution of a loan fund. So that is something very distinct, and it is not it's not reflective of how the entire market will work. Locales always have the opportunity and the right and the privilege to determine what zoning looks like in their communities, and we honor that. We work with municipalities so that they have a better understanding of the regulations that are being developed so that they can make determinations on whether or not they want to have retail sales and or consumption in their municipality. I'm going to say, while we were in Hudson Valley on Friday visiting the farm, their city, not city, they call them county supervisors. The county supervisor was sharing that their municipality was already convening to reconsider their decision to opt out of sales, because now that they see how the regulations are developing and they needed to be able to empower their farmers and people are interested in the product, they were reconvening because they wanted to think about how sales should occur. And essentially their answer is what I think most municipalities have determined. Sales are retail, and retail happens in all commercial spaces. And most municipalities already have commercially zoned areas. And so I think that that's the logic that we're seeing in a lot of our municipalities, but it is their responsibility and their privilege to determine what zoning is in that space. And so we honor it, and we think that they're going to continue to make decisions that reflect the will of their communities. However, I also want to say, in spaces where there are not a lot of retail opportunities, that just means there's lots of delivery opportunities. So they're just different parts of the supply chain that will be able to operate in different areas.
Great, thank you so much for that clarification.
Mhm.
And then this is just a question on timeline. Applicants sacrifice much to win a license, and a delay can be devastating financially for prospective applicants. So a clear understanding of the timeline is crucial to preventing that, as we've seen in other states. Can the state go into more detail about the timeline of the recent approval of AUCP card, laboratory, and retail licenses?
So we can't give any additional information other than what's already public on their timing because they're all waiting. We are processing, and as that information becomes available, we will let the applicants know, and then we'll be sharing it more publicly. However, in business planning, this is not unique. We don't have a requirement for people to own or to be paying rent anywhere. We don't have, this is not a license that is limited to people who own facilities. This is an opportunity moment in New York State. And so people are able to enter in and obtain licenses so long as they have reasonable business plans that allow them to comply with the established regulations. So there is really no need for people to expend large sums of money in preparation of an application, or in assistance with their application. As we've seen with each of the conditional licenses, they were fully online. People were able to do them themselves. But what people really need to spend time on are their business plans. It's much easier to tweak and pivot than it is to wait for regulations and start to develop. So we encourage people to do that. But this is business. We also advise them to be mindful of their business and to conduct it as they would any other profitable or hopefully profitable business, and that they take necessary but not unreasonable risk.
Thank you so much.
And thanks.
Thank you for that. Number 9, we have Nee.
So question number 9, is there a timeline planned for card licensees to be able to open second and third locations, retail locations?
So card applicants are being, I wouldn't say they're being given an opportunity for one location, and that is being paired with one loan. Thereafter, any decisions that and just like all other conditional licenses, they must roll in and reapply and obtain a general adult use license to continue operations. Thereafter, if they want to grow their business, they will be under the general adult use operation. There are no provisions in the MRTA to give priority to people who operate or who were given conditional licenses, because conditional licenses were created after, the MRTA. So, excuse me. So those things considered, we just need to understand that they will be operating just like everyone else, and the guidelines will establish for them the same way it does for everybody else, what the procedures are for applications and for growing their businesses.
Thank you. For question number 10, we have Owen.
It's another timeline question. Obviously, everyone here is a huge supporter of what the OCM and DASNY has been working on, the card program. We have quite a few members within the association that have applied for it.
Oh, sweet.
And then, this question's more in the event of something not going according to plan. So this is in the event that there's not enough card licenses that have been awarded and stores open, are there any contingency plans to help jumpstart this market? There's been some talks that the ROs might be able to open to take in flower from the cultivators and processors. Just curious to hear what your group is thinking of in the event that we can't get enough stores open to help support the farmers and processors.
I cannot imagine why the state could not get stores open but 10 companies could. That just sounds crazy as an assumption to me, but let's assume the crazy.
Yep.
That for some reason, DASNY and the state and anybody with a card applicant and the state can't pivot, and none of the thousands of people who applied under card are capable. I'm sorry, grabbing some water. Are able to actually get a store open with our power to do everything. It has to be within our power to assist them to get those stores open so that they can operate. And I don't think that we even have a means in place to allow any other applicant to obtain a license before going to general adult use. So we would have to have the general adult use in place in order to issue licenses.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Question number 11. When will processing licenses begin to be inspected? A lot of cultivators are waiting to sell their products to processors, but these processors are unable to.
I think that I froze up, you guys.
Can you hear me?
And so I'm going to repeat the answer and see if that helps, because I think I froze during my response.
No, we heard your response.
No, we heard you just fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying, I don't think, like, I noted that everybody wants to find a way for people to get into the market quickly, but the idea that the state is unable to open a storefront, because that's essentially what we're talking about.
Mhm.
It's crazy. I've opened a storefront in 6 weeks. It can be done. Like, it's not impossible. And with all of the resources of DASNY, I just can't imagine that we're not able to get that done.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Wright. I have question number 11. Processing licenses, they need to be inspected before they could start purchasing biomass from cultivators. When can we expect these processing license holders to be inspected?
All of them have been scheduled.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so they've all been scheduled. And I think the first one was this week.
That is great
So,
news. Thank you so
yeah.
much. And number 12, we have Teresa.
So, what does the transition from a conditional license to the general or the more permanent license look like for the 3 license types, adult use cultivators, processors, and card license holders?
It looks like them completing the exact same application that all other adult use licensees complete. So
Okay.
there's no different pathway. It is, they must participate and apply just as everyone else.
Okay, will all license types go through a conditional phase?
No,
Okay, and then why would that be?
because the legislature made a decision when they passed the Seeding Opportunity Initiative this year that they were creating 3 license types, which was conditional cultivators, conditional processors, and conditional retail. Those are the only conditional licenses that the legislature passed. And therefore, those are the only ones that we are authorized to license. And since we will be going into adult use in the near future, the demand or the necessity reduces. We don't have a need for a conditional license because we actually will have regulations in place.
I think the question is also like just trying to determine if there will be any support for conditional operators once the conditional phase ends.
I'm not really understanding the question. So support generally exists through our social equity office, and that is for all cannabis operators generally. However, they're also there to specifically support anyone that identifies themselves as social equity applicants. That is defined in the law as those who've been harmed, by the prohibition, those who, I'm sorry, who come from communities that have been disproportionately harmed by the prohibition, MWBEs, service disabled veterans, as well as distressed farmers. So they have a special mandate to come up with programming that supports their social equity applicants, but they're also tasked with supporting all cannabis licensees. They're already working on cultivator programming to help people to get assistance so that they can learn the processes, understand compliance in that portion of the industry, as well as be ready for adult licensing. So there will be consistent support through the Social Equity Office.
Okay, thanks. That answered the question.
Yeah.
Great. Ms. Tremaine Wright, thank you so much. That concludes all our questions that we have.
Oh,
for
okay.
you. I'm sure the longer you stay on this meeting, the more questions we have for you. But thank
No
you so
problem.
much. What can you tell us about what the OCM is working on currently and what we could expect within the next few weeks, few months? You know, tell us the goods.
So I wish I could give you some special information, but I really can't. All of our announcements really do come from the office and from our board meetings. But I can tell you, we are diligently working on those regulations. We really do believe that we'll be able to get a draft out for the public comment this fall of the complete package of adult use regulations, and that will position us to begin. Of course, there's a comment period, so just build in a 2-month comment period after we get them out. But that really puts us in a position that we should be able to start accepting applications early next year. So I'm very excited about that. I think we're on the right track. I think we're going to have conditional adult use retail dispensaries open this fall. And I'm also going to say I was really pleased with the farm that I was able to visit this past week. The harvest looks fantastic. They have multiple strains. They have quality product. And I know that there's this perception like, oh, outdoor grow is not going to be as good as our indoor grows in New York State. I'm going to say, although I wasn't trying it, according to the growers and the people that have been testing it for them, the product is comparable. The product is fantastic. They have strains that people thought were not going to be available from outdoor growing outdoors. So I think we're going to have the variety and the quality that people are accustomed to. I think that is going to really encourage people to try their hand at greenhouse and outdoor grows, because I think it's going to be more cost and energy efficient for the producer as well as for the community. And so I'm really hopeful about that. But then I'm also going to say I am really eager about the consumption license, and I keep hearing really innovative ideas about how people want to utilize that license. And I think that's gonna be one of the game changers for New York State.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, I think
We have people that have been thinking about this for a long time, well before legalization. So they have great ideas and they're just ready to get engaged. And I think that's what we're supposed to be doing, helping them get engaged. So
absolutely.
Let's see if I can come back on at least for the last couple of minutes here, because I just need to make sure while we were talking business that you could. There we go. So I just wanted to move a little closer to the, what is that box?
Router.
Our router. Thank you. I was like, oh man, it's like on the second floor in the other part of the house. So I was like, let me move. I sat on the stairs to take the meeting. But I come back in the light. So
you froze up. You froze up again. Oh boy.
See, there we go. See, I get a little bit away from the stairwell and then it starts to act up. But I hope that gives everybody a little bit of clarity and some understanding. If there are any other questions.
I actually have a question. The retail committee is actually talking about different models for delivery. What are the model or model types that the OCM is thinking about for delivery type licenses? Like, how is it going to be? Is it going to look like a third party? Is it going to be like hold and sell? Like, how's it?
So we have not determined that, but I am going to say, please develop your model of what delivery looks like. And just remember that delivery is from the retail to the consumer. So we're not creating a new model in the world. We're really operating under the same understandings that people have already. So when you mentioned hold, like most food delivery does not hold food to deliver it. I know that there are a couple of models in the supermarket space that do that. But because this is a regulated item, I think that it would be a real challenge to burden delivery systems with holding this regulated item and then delivering it, because now they're warehousing and they look more like distribution than they do delivery.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would just be mindful of, in thinking about your business plan and laying it out, that you actually stay within the particular area that you want to be licensed in. There are obviously some grayer spaces, like whether or not there's a drive-through opportunity, or like some of the vendors want to know if they can have mobile operations, and those kind of things we need to definitely sort out in the regulations. But I would say just make sure that you're not trying to attribute some other process in your license type. And don't hesitate to think about the cooperative or the micro businesses, because those really do give you a lot of flexibility. And I think a lot of our farmers are thinking about the micro business license type, because, for example, they're thinking about agro tourism the same way we do in the wine industry. So yeah, we hope people will be creative and think about it. And I hope that our license types provide enough flexibility for people to really hit those marks. Additionally, I'm going to say, please look at our regs as soon as they come out, because in making your business plan, you have insight into what non-practitioners can't see. So think of it this way. Most government workers have never run and operated a business. They write or they do whatever they do inside of the buildings that they work in, but they're not going outside running businesses. They don't touch consumers. They don't have to grow their business. So your insights come from that perspective. And so when you read those regs, if there are things that are potential hurdles or holes, we really need to hear it.
Amazing. Awesome. Tremaine, you said you opened up a business before.
Yeah, I had a coffee shop for almost 10 years.
Awesome. So it's still retail oriented. What do you see as like the biggest barriers to entry into the retail tier of the cannabis industry?
Honestly, I see that people are looking at this in the most myopic way. I think that people have very often I'm hearing folks talk and they have a Apple Store experience in mind, as if there's only one way to serve cannabis or to introduce customers to it, and that there's only one way to experience shopping for it. I think that is lack of imagination will kill the opportunity. I think that we need retailers to really be thinking broadly. We already have people who are trying to figure out how they can have small distribution lines, because as a small retailer, I can tell you, I carried Naked Juice, Adwala, Linka Bars, as well as Red Jacket Farms drinks, all before they got large distribution deals into the supermarkets and or bigger. Tropicana purchased Naked. Yes. At that time, small distributors were the people who delivered it to my store. They had small routes. They took, 30, 40 hits drop-offs each day. We've got to develop that part of the business, and I see it developing. And I think that is what creates the opportunities for our smaller one-store operations, that they really have to have a developed a small distribution team ready to tap into them. just because the big boys ignore you. And I know that, but I think in this moment, enough people are thinking about it that we should have the proper supports in place, as well as hopefully a very innovative marketplace where people are creating different experiences. I like to always say, I shop at H&M, I shop at Bergdorf, I shop at Saks, I shop at Bloomingdale's, I shop at Macy's. They all have a different experience. And I think that that's what we need to remember when we're creating experience for consumers.
I have a question actually, now that you mentioned that, Tremaine. One of my favorite stores in San Francisco, it's called Urbana. It was one of the first stores in California to allow you to walk up to like, I guess it's just like a grocery store. Like you can walk up, they stock like, 5 per row of product, and you can pick it up and hold it and look at it. Do you know if regulations or if conversations are lending to support a model like that, where
we are definitely working on what it looks and feels like? What are the restrictions? I think that when we have an open market, it changes some of the fear mongering that existed when we created the medical program. So I think that we do have support to allow for different models of stores. We just haven't come to a solid agreement on all of it yet. And I also think that kills creativity if we don't allow it. Just like when you said,
you provoked me to ask it, because I always do ask that question, but once you kept saying the experience, I was like, well, that changes it quite a bit to be able to just walk up and touch it.
Right. The regulations have to support it.
Correct.
Right.
Signal might be dropping.
Oh,
there we go. Now I got you back.
No problem.
Just another piece to kind of add on.
Me.
Hello.
I think you're frozen again.
I don't know if you guys hear me or if you have me back on your screen yet.
Hello.
Yes, I got you back.
There we go. Oh, and what were you saying?
I was just going to kind of piggyback off what Stephen was asking. That was specifically on the experience of the store itself. The way the regs are currently set up is there's a 2-tier system that doesn't allow for retailers to collaborate or brand products. Obviously, this is following the liquor model in New York State. Are there any plans in the future to allow card applicants and general applicants to be more collaborative with the products that they carry, since there has to be a clear distinction that they're not involved due to TPI? Is there any thoughts around that? I think that would be another.
So we are definitely looking at how the licensing system is bifurcated, because we do know that there are some realities to retail, like you just identified. There's an entire white labeling industry in every marketplace. And I can't imagine cannabis to be any different, but currently we don't have the ability to do it. That would take legislative change.
Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome stuff, guys. Great questions.
Yeah.
Steve,
and I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if there's
no
other questions, I was just going to, thank you for coming today, and then just extend an offer is that, CANY is a group of every part of New York's cannabis industry. I think we just passed 475 members, thanks to everybody here and all of our other members. It's just continually been growing and growing. We constantly throw events, educational-based events for our current members and people that are looking to get involved in this space. And we'd love to just continually extend offers to yourself and other people from the OCM to be involved, because it's a great way to meet people that are either already in the program, that are interested in getting in the space, or just don't know quite yet what to do in the space. And I would just like to extend that. Like recently we had an event on October 6th in New York City. We had about 300 people turn out. And that wasn't just a fluke. This is the second or third time that type of number has showed up in New York City. And so, we'd definitely love to have you as a speaker, as a guest, not just you, but anyone from the OCM to kind of get an experience, meet people from the association and New York State that are passionate about this.
Thank you. I welcome the opportunity. I'm a firm believer that the B2B community has to develop itself. And I'm always encouraged when I meet different interest groups that are trying to do that very work. That is the one thing that I can tell you, that I was speaking last night at an event at a local library. The Brooklyn Public Library hosted a event here in New York City. And that was one of the questions. The potential business owners were looking for ways to connect with other businesses. And some shared information of events that they had attended, but CANY is exactly the type of organization that they're looking for. And so I encourage you to continuously reach out to tap into the marketplace. I shared with you that I had a coffee shop. That's how I learned so much. I attended expos and joined a trade association, and that's how I learned so much more than I thought I could ever learn about it.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, you guys. So then I guess I will talk with you all soon.
Thank
Be
you so
well.
much.
Carmine will be continue to follow you around the state.
I'm sure we will speak before the holidays, Miss Wright. You have
We
a wonderful
shall.
day.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully we'll see each other at the first opening of some dispensary in the state.
I promise you I'll be there.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
Take care,
Okay,
Miss
bye-bye.
Wright. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.